Monday through Fridays, as many as 30 funerals each day. Now the black iron gates will be passing through date to World War I. There are 4 gold crests on the gates for the 4 branches of the service at that time: Army, Navy, Marines, and Coast Guard. The United States Air Force, not an independent branch of the military until after World War II. The large gray curved building on the driver's side is the Women in Military Service for America Memorial, dedicated in 1997 to all servicewomen, past, present, and future, for their service to the country. Now we're going to go up a small hill. At the crest of the hill, I'm going to have you look on the passenger side of the vehicle. You'll see a walkway. If you look down the walkway to the bottom of the hill, on the right side of the walkway, bottom of the hill, second row, the very last grave marker, final resting place of civil rights icon Medgar Evers. Served as a technical sergeant in World War II. He was in the Normandy invasion. He was the NAACP's first field secretary in his home state of Mississippi. He investigated the murder of Emmett Till, and he himself tragically murdered in his driveway in June of 1963. Buried here shortly after with full military honors. Now keep looking on the passenger side. This is what people expect to see at Arlington National Cemetery. Seemingly endless rows of uniform grave markers, perfectly aligned horizontally, vertically, and diagonally. Grave markers are from the Veterans Administration. They're made of Vermont marble. They weigh at 230 pounds and are provided at no cost to the service member or their families. On the driver's side, you can see private markers that are paid for by family and friends of the deceased, and as of December of 2017, we no longer allow the installation of private markers due to space and cost of maintenance concerns. In March 1963, President John F. Kennedy made an unannounced visit to Arlington National Cemetery. He stood on the lawn in front of the Arlington House, looked out over the cemetery in the city of Washington, and in a low voice he was heard to say, "So beautiful, I could stay here forever." 8 months later, assassinated in Dallas, Texas, the family originally planned to have the president laid to rest in the family plot in Brookline, Massachusetts. Mrs. Kennedy was told of those words spoken here. Those plans were changed. That is why President John F. Kennedy is here at Arlington National Cemetery forever. Now, if you look on the passenger side up the hill, in front of the Arlington House, you'll see a flagpole. That's about where President Kennedy was standing when he made those remarks. At the bottom of the hill on the driver's side, you'll see a walkway. Look up the walkway to the crest of the hill, and on the right side in a grove of trees, the final resting place of Captain Robert Todd Lincoln. Only child of President Abraham Lincoln to survive to adulthood, served on the staff of General Ulysses S. Grant during the Civil War. Now, on the passenger side, Section 5 has justices from the Supreme Court, including William Redcliffe, Warren Burger, Oliver Wendell Holmes Jr., and the father of the nuclear navy here, Admiral Hyman Rickover. Now, if you see this large tree on the passenger side, if you look behind it, you'll see a tall black marker with a Star of David on top for Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. The large memorial that says Weeks has 2 built-in benches. Directly behind it, 2 rows center, a dark gray marker for Justice Thurgood Marshall, first African-American justice on the United States Supreme Court. You can see the Arlington House on the passenger side. Below it, the low gray curved gold is the gravesite of President John F. Kennedy with the eternal flame. Next to President Kennedy, First Lady Jacqueline, and they are flanked by their 2 infant children. Nearby we have his brothers Robert and Edward, and a memorial marker for their brother Joe Jr., killed in action over the skies of Europe during World War II. His body was never recovered. Now this is our stop for President Kennedy's gravesite. We run on a 30-minute schedule. You're more than welcome to hop off here. Another vehicle will be by here in 30 minutes. However, if you do that, you won't be able to see the changing of the guard until 10 o'clock. So everyone staying on? Okay, we're going to move on. Keep looking on the passenger side. You'll see an evergreen tree right along the roadway that has a plaque at the base. This is one of our roughly 140 memorial trees throughout the cemetery. This one for Gold Star mothers, those that have lost a child in the service of our country. Coming up on the driver's side, you'll see an equestrian memorial for Field Marshal Sir John Dill, our emissary from Great Britain during World War II. He's one of roughly 60 foreign nationals at Arlington Cemetery. We're going up through Section 2. In Section 2, we have Hollywood starlet Maureen O'Hara. She was the star of the original Miracle on 34th Street. Co-starred with John Wayne in 5 of his movies. She's here because her husband was an Air Force general. In our nation's history, we've had a total of 9 5-star generals and admirals. Of those 9, 5 are here at Arlington National Cemetery. Section 2, we have Admiral William Leahy, the first 5-star officer. Admiral William Bull Halsey, Fleet Admiral in the Pacific during World War II. George Westinghouse served in the Union Army and Navy during the Civil War, better remembered for his work with electricity. His corporate motto, you can be sure if it's Westinghouse. Now, coming up on the driver's side, Section 7 is the final resting place of 5-star General George C. Marshall. Chief of Staff during World War II, Secretary of State, and Secretary of Defense for President Harry S. Truman. He was the principal architect of the Marshall Plan, which helped European nations out of an economic depression after World War II. For that, he received the Nobel Peace Prize. He's the only Nobel laureate here at Arlington National Cemetery. He's the only 5-star general not to attend the United States Military Academy at West Point, New York. Now, coming up on the passenger side, you'll see a small flagstone plaza with benches just beyond it. In the back corner is a tall brown marker for world heavyweight champion Joe Louis. Joe Louis served in the Army during World War II, heavyweight champion for over 11 years. His grave marker was paid for by Frank Sinatra. Next to Joe Louis, the government marker to the left side, Lee Marvin has flowers at his gravesite. Lee Marvin starred in such movies as The Dirty Dozen, Cat Blue, and he was Liberty Valance and the man who shot Liberty Valance. Now I'm going to go silent. We're going by the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. It's going to be on the passenger side of the vehicle. We're going to go through this plaza. Tomb is guarded 24 hours a day, 365 days a year by sentinels from the 3rd Infantry Regiment. The United States Army, known as the Old Guard, has been guarded continuously since the mid-1930s. Section 6 on the driver's side, the final resting place of Lieutenant General John A. Lejeune, 13th Commandant of the Marine Corps, Camp Lejeune in North Carolina, named in his honor, known as the Marine. Now, coming up on the driver's side, going to have you look 4 rows back. You'll see a tall black marker for Lieutenant Colonel Lee Archer. Tuskegee Airman, World War II ace, his exploits chronicled on the Military Channel show Dogfight. Over the skies of Eastern Europe in October of 1944, Lieutenant Colonel Archer shot down 4 enemy aircraft in only 20 minutes. Now continue to look on the driver's side. You see these white standard markers on a very steep hill. Each one says in memory of. These are memorial markers for those who qualified for burial at Arlington National Cemetery. However, their bodies were never recovered. Their ashes were scattered or they were buried at sea, but this is how we remember them here. Now the cenotaphs or memorial markers go down. They'll go back up the hill. In the front row, separate from the far right, is a memorial marker with gold lettering. Paul Ray Smith, first Medal of Honor recipient in the Gulf War. His request to have his ashes scattered over the Gulf of Mexico. Place he greatly enjoyed fishing. Section 35 on the passenger side, the final resting place of Senator and astronaut John Glenn. Featured in the book and movie The Right Stuff. He was part of the Mercury space program. He was the first American to orbit the Earth. As we turn, on the driver's side is the nurses section of Arlington Cemetery. This is predominantly, but not exclusively, nurses. And up the hill on the driver's side, right at the crest, you'll see 4 cannons from the Spanish-American War. 2 Spanish cannons had a green patina. They had a range of about 400 yards. Black-painted American cannons had a range of about 15 miles. We fought that war with one arm tied behind our backs. Now in this area we have memorials for the Columbia and Challenger space shuttles, one for the Iran hostage mission. The last large tree along the roadway on the driver's side is the only tree with a walkway on all sides of it. Directly behind it, final resting place of Audie Murphy, most decorated enlistment of World War II. Now this is our stop for the Memorial Amphitheater Tomb of the Unknown. You've got about 6 minutes before the changing of the guard. So the pathways you see here that are directly next to it, you can take either one. That'll take you over to the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier.
6 minutes stay.
So in 30 minutes we'll have another vehicle. Now look ahead, you'll see under the tree, the blue sign. That is where